Good evening. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous. And let's get this out of there and get our introduction in first. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous. Thank you for joining me tonight. It's Friday Night Live, where I come into your life to give you a few tools, techniques, and help as you go through the trauma of divorce, not only through it, but after it. I also have a program that goes after divorce. So, let's talk about support groups. Support groups begin July 11th is our next one, and that will be a hybrid. So you are able to, no matter where you are in the country, be part of it. And I'm on week 6 right now with the current group, and we do have people from all over the country joining us, and you are welcome, certainly, as well, to get the support, to get the help that you need. After divorce, I also do another program that follows the support group. So let's get you through the first one first, and then we'll jump into the next one. But it is important that you have an opportunity to be with a support group that's going to understand where you're coming from and to have people around you who are in the same situation. And as you listen to others articulate your pain, you're going to understand, number one, you're not alone and that you can get through this, as many people have. Having worked in this area for the past 17 years, I have been holding support groups. I'm also a divorce coach and also a domestic mediator. So I want you to know that you're not alone, that you're going to get through it, and I want to give you tools to help you with that. Tonight, we are going to talk about negotiating in mediation. It's always interesting in my support group when we have the conversation, how good are you at standing up for yourself? And a lot of people aren't real good at standing up for themselves. So I want to give you a few tips, some help as you get through mediation. First of all, to understand what mediation is so that you can proceed and know the rules before you get there, because we're nervous when we go to mediation and our brains can shut down and we can become a little bit confused. And so I want to give you some prep work to do prior to mediation. And that, in fact, is what I do in this workbook. Preparing to see your attorney for the first time is also a workbook if you are going through mediation without an attorney. This gives you the tools that you need to be prepared to go into mediation or to see your attorney for the first time. So instead of spending a lot of time in the attorney's office telling and having conversation of all the documents that you need and what has happened, you're going to go in prepared with this information. You're going to go in, you're going to tell a little bit of your story and say, now let's get to work. Here's my documents. Here's all that I have ready to go into mediation and to proceed with the divorce. Because this is really my motto. This is what I want to do. I want to stop the hemorrhaging. I want to stop the damage that is occurring through your divorce. And I have seen it for the past 17 years. I know how wicked it can be. So my work is to guide people to minimize that damage in all aspects, legally, financially, spiritually, and emotionally. So the more we know, the easier we can move through this process. So as you go into mediation, there's a term I think that's really important to know, and that is mediating in good faith. In showing up without having schemes and wanting to rip the other person off, mediating in good faith, and this is actually a legal term. It means to step forward and be in mediation honest, to want to have fair dealings through this process, to be absent of fraudulent intent, the law says, and to be willing simply to work together. So if I show up and I know I'm absolutely not going to give an inch, and I'm just going to demand, and I have seen these mediations, they do happen, you're not mediating in good faith. You're not stepping forward to be honest and to work through and in this process in an honest and upfront way. Now, when you go into mediation, or even when you're speaking with your attorney who is hired by you to represent you, you need to be able to stand up for yourself. And this is always an interesting conversation that I have in support groups. How good are you at standing up for yourself? And many people admit they're not very good at standing up for themselves. They're really good at giving over or giving up or giving in, but they're not very good at standing up for themselves. Well, that has to stop in your life in general, but particularly in mediation. You must be able to stand up for yourself and to state what it is that you need and what it is that you want, which leads to my next comment, which is you have to know what you want going into mediation. It's really important. You can't just go in there thinking, "Oh, I'm just going to fight, or I'm going to get what I can, or I'm going to just let him or her have what they want." No, you need to know what you want. And that's again where this workbook becomes really handy. If not this workbook, then what I recommend to people is get a piece of paper with 3 columns on it. My first column are those things that are vitally important to me. And we're talking assets and debts here. We're not talking children. That's another whole different issue. But as you are preparing to go into mediation, which a lot of states require, our county requires all divorce cases go into mediation. So to be prepared for it is really a good idea. You don't want to spend the time with your attorney in your attorney's office with him prepping you to go into mediation, number one, because it's very expensive. So you do your homework and be ready to show up. So back to that piece of paper. Piece of paper, 3 columns in it. The first column, these are the things that I really want that are vitally important. They could be sentimental, they could be of value, they could be for whatever reason. It's just an asset that you want. That first column, this is what I really want. In the middle, if I get it, great. If I don't, it's okay. Lawnmower, I can get another lawnmower. I don't care if I get it. If I get it, great. If not, it's okay. The third column are those things which you don't want and you know you don't want. How is this going to help you in mediation? Because you're under a lot of stress in mediation and you need to have a plan going into. Doesn't mean you get everything you want, but you do need to have a plan and you do need to know what it is that you want. Another reason you want to know what you want is because when you go into mediation, you are paying the attorneys. If attorneys are present, you're paying the mediator. So for you to sit there and discover what you want is a very expensive endeavor. Better to go prepared to go into mediation knowing what it is that you want. Now, you're not going to get everything that you want. My hope for you is that you'll get what you need. And so you're going to need to be willing to give up something. Don't be that stubborn person who gives nothing. There may be some things out of that first column that you do have to hand over to be willing to give. I hope not. I hope it's that middle column that you're ambiguous about, and that if you get it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. Or certainly the third column, what you know you don't want. But you do need to be willing to give up something, to negotiate, to trade, to swap something. So be willing and to know what that is. Come in with that piece of paper, but also have in the back of your mind or another sheet of paper, okay, if this doesn't work, then this is plan B. This is plan B, or the BATNA, as it's called, best alternative to negotiated agreement. You're going to have to be willing to give up something. Just know that. Okay, so I talked about how stressful it is in mediation. Take the breaks. Every mediator that I know, and certainly when I mediate, I allow people to take a break. Time out. I need to go get a breath of fresh air. I need to go sit, have a cup of coffee. I need to go pray. I need to clear my head. I need to get my senses about me because this is stressful. You're making some big decisions in mediation. So take the breaks. And don't feel guilty about it or want to bother people for taking the break. Just say, hey, I need a break. No explanation needed. Nobody needs to know why you need a break. Say, I need a break. And then go get some fresh air. Don't sign anything until you are ready. Sometimes in mediation, especially when we go into mediation without attorneys, we will work for hours and we will get this mediation agreement. If there are not attorneys, I always recommend that the parties, the people, take this agreement without signatures to their own separate attorney and have them review it with the person. So you don't sign anything until you're ready, because when you sign it, it is legally binding and you will have to live with that. So don't sign until you're ready. Don't be in a rush to sign. You've got time. Next is remember the long-term effects of your decisions. So as you're working through this mediation, what are the long-term effects? It may work for a year or two, but how will it work in 5 years from now? Or how is this affecting the children? All those things should be kept in mind as you are going through this process and doing the mediation. So if you have not been in mediation before, it is intimidating just because it's unknown. But if you have a good mediator, they're going to help you relax and get adjusted to the situation and allow you an opportunity to truly make sure that you understand what it is you are agreeing to. And keep in mind those long-term effects of your decisions. So, negotiating, mediation is a way in which you can resolve your issues, much less expensive than if you were to hire an attorney and go fight it out in the courts. I highly recommend that you consider mediation as you're going through your divorce. And sometimes we have mediations after divorces because something wasn't working out or you both agree it's not working. You can come together and mediate as well. But I want you to know that this is possible. It is doable. I have seen some very complex cases come before me. And as we work them out, we resolve them. It was not easy, but they got resolved. There is an answer to this for you and for your situation. So I want to assure you of that. This is going to work out. Now, how it works out is really going to depend on how you and your spouse cooperate. That's really what's important. If you don't want to cooperate, well, then the only one who really wins are the attorneys. They get very rich off of you. I don't want to see that for you. I want a more peaceful method for you. I want to lessen the trauma of going through divorce for you. That's my goal. It's always my goal. So before you go into mediation or before you go into this divorce, it's always important to consider what's going to happen now. What are the effects of this? What is the damage that's going to happen? What are the precautions that I can take? The ways which I can lessen the pain and the trauma and the expense and the ugliness that can come from divorce. Jesus said, which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the costs, whether he has enough to complete it? Consider the cost of your actions. And if you are going to be one of those who are going to fight through mediation and dig your heels in, you're going to find that you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your spouse, you're hurting your children. And again, the only ones that are gaining are the attorneys. So consider the cost. Consider these few suggestions that I've given you. Certainly request this workbook. It's going to help you prepare to see your attorney or to prepare for mediation. It is a free download. You just have to send me your email address and I will send that out to you. It is an incredibly important tool for you. I hope this has been of some help. Please reach out to me if I can be of help. There's my number. Shoot me a text and we'll set up a time to talk. You need a divorce coach, someone to walk alongside you through this. I'm available to do that. That's what I do. You need a mediator. I do that as well. Certainly a support group. The next one starting July 11th. You need a support group. You need to be with those who truly get what you are going through. This is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, walking with you every step of the way through the trauma of divorce and after divorce. Have a good evening.